Okay, so we're draining the tofu. If you want to squeeze it a bit, you can also do that. We're just going to get rid of some of that extra juice. It's not critical because it's going to add to that moisture, but we want to cut that, cut it up. So I'm going to slice that into bite-sized pieces. You make it to what your level of size you want to go with. Generally cut it in half. And then I'll cut it again. Okay, let me turn my cutting board. Get it into the water. Hands clean, of course. If you want to smash it on a board and then scrape it in, that would be fine too. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we're going to open our can of coconut milk, shake it. This will separate. So you'll get the fat that will float to the top. So shake it up really good. And then we'll dump off a cup of it. Set that aside. Shake it up. Oops, as I lose the lid. Okay, so we can scrape off the good, because actually the fat will, the cream will sit at the top. So we're going to pour off a cup. Okay, and then we are going to heat that up. And what we're going to try and do is to kind of get it to separate. So we're going to separate it so that the oil kind of separates out of the coconut milk. All right, so we're going to get that started. We're going to let that kind of come to a boil over medium heat. Now I have it on a gas stove. So I'll get something real quick to stir with, and then we're going to hopefully get this to separate a bit. But what we're going to try and shoot for is to get it to break apart a bit. That's perfect. Thank you. In the meantime, I'll let that kind of sit for a second. I can also get my eggplant going. Oops. And again, I'm going to kind of watch that. So I'll try and use as much eggplant. You have 2 of these, and if they're really big, a Thai eggplant. Give you an idea, a Thai eggplant's about this size. So you can kind of guess if you need 4, how big your eggplant is. So you might actually have a little bit of extra of your eggplant. You might have 1 whole extra unless you'd like to have a really heavy eggplant curry. So I'm going to get this to kind of stir around a little bit, and we're trying to shoot for, it takes about 5 minutes. So we're going to kind of watch the time on that. So give me another 4 minutes, and then we'll see how it looks. In the meantime, I can cut my my eggplant. Now you can do eggplant in a variety of ways. Sometimes I'll do cubes. Sometimes you can do the obliques where you cut it on the diagonal. So that's a nice way. Remember, it's about what you want to bite into. So this does get a little bit angry, but it's trying to heat up and separate a bit. So it's up to you on how you want to cut it. You can do rings, or you can do, like I said, you can do the obliques, or you can even do cubes. So I'll do a little bit of both. Consistency is what we really want to keep as far as the shape, so that it'll cook evenly. So it's bubbling up quite a bit, as you all can see. So that'll start to kind of separate. So we've still got probably another, 3 minutes to go, roughly. So I will go for some cubes. Sorry, I keep going back to my coconut milk just so we can make sure it doesn't burn. Okay. And if you have like a bad spot on it, just cut it out. My knife is probably not the best one to use for cutting out small surface. Whoops, and I've got volcanic eruptions going on in my coconut milk. So still bubbling. We'll let that go a little bit longer, and then we're gonna mix in our curry. So just a fair warning, the curry is pretty spicy. So if you want to cut your curry paste in half, it will definitely bring down that spice. It's totally up to you as far as that spiciness. So we can go for the whole 2 tablespoons, or you can actually drop it to a half or 1 tablespoon. So really, again, it's up to you what you're comfortable with. But you can smell the curry definitely as it's heating. Okay, so it's, how's our time on? 1 minute. Okay, so we're gonna start chopping up some eggplant real quick while that's still bubbling. Okay. Probably really close to the point where we can add the curry. It's kind of, you're pulling off a little bit of the moisture too. So now you can really see it separated. So you can kind of see how it's clung to the side of the edges and actually to the bottom as well. So you're kind of looking for that separation. We're probably really close on our time as well. So I'll finish cutting up my eggplant. Is anybody cooking with us tonight?
Hey, Laura, it's Rudy.
All right. Okay. Fantastic. Woo. Yeah. Nice. Okay. So that's what you're going for. Let's get for that. If you can get to that. Now, if for some reason it doesn't get to there, it's still going to work. It's just that it separates out a little differently. So we're going to add our curry paste. So again, if you want to bring yours down a little bit, go half the volume. If you like spicy, add it all. If you like even spicier, you can add, you know, if you have, I don't know if you have curry paste at home. Whew. Okay, so we're going to add this. What we're trying to do is just get that to break down. So we're going to blend it in really nicely. So we're going to 2 minutes on this. So we probably have about 1 minute and 30 on our time. And it's really just breaking down that curry paste. Smash it up against your edges. And turn my heat down just a bit. Okay. Get that cooking. We've got our eggplant ready, or I've got our tofu ready. So we're going to add in a second, we're going to add that, the rest of the coconut milk. So once our timer hits that 2 minutes, we'll add the coconut milk. Okay, so we've got this, and then just a couple things while I'm waiting a little bit longer on the mixture. You have 1 lime, so you're going to zest this or grate it to get that skin. This lime is going to be used for your dressing mixture as well. So don't squeeze it all into anything. We're going to keep this and use it for the Thai salad. So we'll rinse that off, and then I can zest it really quick. You can do zest, or you can actually do Kaffir lime leaves. So I'm going to zest this a bit. And what we're trying to get is that just that surface of the skin. I hear my timer for my curry. Instead of a zester, you could use a grater. You could actually even take a knife and kind of go really easy on the edges. Again, It's not, doesn't have to be that fine. If it's this fine, then you'll end up eating those shreds basically. The other option, if you ever get out to a shop that has the Kaffir lime leaves, this is what Kaffir lime leaves look like. And they are, I kind of just named them or feel like they have that. They just smell like Thai food. So this is a Kaffir lime leaf. You actually can see these in Hawaii. They're grown in Hawaii and it's a double leaf. So you can use that as well. And then we're just gonna kind of smush them before we add those. So either way with your lime or your zest. Okay, so here's our nice paste. We're gonna add the rest of the coconut milk. And then we're gonna add it was either water or chicken stock. So that was my chicken bouillon that I had. Okay, so we'll have that. We'll add our chicken stock. That 1 cup of water. And if you want to make it vegetarian, this is actually a full vegetarian except for that chicken broth. So if you want to keep that out and make it vegetarian, you're welcome to do that as well. So we're just going to mix this up. Your palm sugar and fish sauce is in the sea curry group, and we're going to add that to our mixture. Oops. And it is a little bit on the thick side. We'll just add like I'll use a teaspoon and scoop it out a bit. Thanks. One more time. Can you hear me okay, everybody?
Yes.
Jesse, can they hear me?
I can hear there's a slight echo though.
Can you turn off your microphone? Turn off.
So they don't hear me yet.
Is it better? Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me, everybody?
I think the one before was better. I can't hear Lara very well now.
I don't know if you're right. Can you check if Kathy's dead?
Sorry, everybody, hang tight with us.
Oh, I know what I need to do. Hold on. Hold on. Okay.
Are we good?
Is that better now?
Can you hear me?
Much better.
Okay, it's better now.
Okay, I'll talk as loud as I can too. My fridges get a little bit loud. All right, so now we're gonna add the tofu and eggplant to our mix. So we mixed it up nice and got we got the curry paste and then the broth. We're gonna add the tofu. And the egg.
You already added the
Hold your
bouillon
lime
water.
until like closer to the end. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get this up to a simmer, and then we will. I want it to. It's gonna cook the eggplant, but it's also gonna help create that reduction. So we're gonna have a little thicker sauce, a little heartier sauce. So this will kind of sit here and cook. And I'm actually going to put it on another burner so that we have access to this front burner. So this one. Oops. Okay. Okay. So that's just going to sit back there. That for a second. Let that sit. Now we're going to do our salad. How's everybody doing on their curry? It's all sitting, everybody up to the point where it's kind of sitting and simmering for a second. We good to go? No, the zest is going to go in at the end because we really want to do we don't want it to overcook. It turns darker. So we're going to leave that to the end as well as our basil. So we'll leave those to the end. Okay. So those will be at the end of the cooking process. It does say zest to add in there. I'm going to leave it closer to the basil time because they tend to go darker. So you can add it if you have the leaves, the Kaffir leaves, you can add those later as well. But if you were to do zest, it really is not going to make a huge variation of flavor. So I have both for us. So I'll set them aside. Okay. Ooh, I left out an eggplant. Cut that really quick. So that was just one full eggplant versus the two. So I think if you're looking at if Kelly wants to come in on the screen, if you look at your volume, if you added a whole other eggplant, it would probably just way overbearing. So one is probably gonna be way adequate for you. So get that started and simmering, and it should, we're gonna let that sit for a little while. Okay, let's get salad rolling. So this is a crunchy Thai salad with peanut dressing. And we are going to do a large bowl, and you have you have a bag that has the Napa cabbage, red cabbage, kale. So here's your Napa cabbage, and it's hiding some kale in there. So we're gonna use all of that. You're gonna use all of your red cabbage. And then we have kale in here as well. And the mint and the onion and everything else is in a different, the mint and the cilantro is in a different bag. So we'll start out with this. So what I would, if you would like, you can actually cut your kale a little bit more, and these have been washed, not have been washed, so we're gonna rinse them off really quick. I'll just go ahead and rinse them here. So you wanna rinse them off. Oh, I'm hoping you all have rice ready to roll. That should be setting aside. If not, you can always add, we can prep you and get you set, but I can definitely rinse this and drain out my salad makings. So actually I'll pull it from here and it'll drain. So I'm gonna cut the kale just a little bit more. If you actually have like a head or not a head, but the leaves of kale, it's kind of nice to do like a thin slice, and then it's not quite as much flavor of the kale in one bite. So I'm actually going to do more of like a thinner, nice thin slice. So if you pile it together, I'm just going to make it as kind of a shredded lettuce variety. And if you have stems in there, and if you don't want the heavy, thick stems, you can always dump those off. But you can definitely cut your kale more of like a shred. Okay, so that's ready. There's a big stem. We'll put this in a fresh bowl. So I'll add this to the bowl. Right here. Don't want to block our view. So then we have your Napa cabbage. Stir up my curry for a second. It's bubbling and nicely. So that again, that sauce is going to start to what we call reduce. So that the water content boiling out will reduce it. So Napa cabbage, same thing as my kale. I do a really nice fine slice. So everything is more of a kind of like your taco salad kind of style. Again, it's your choice. This was just the way I had created it. So you can do chunks or you can do nice, kind of a julienne style. And if your pieces get really thick, and you can cut those in half as well. Okay. So, and I think I have a little bit of more. We'll see how that goes. So I'm gonna add this into my salad bowl. And then we've got the red cabbage left. If you have any brown on your cabbage, you can trim it off. It looks pretty good. So we're gonna do, let's see, I'm gonna cut it in half. And then again, I'm gonna do that. Let's find the, so you wanna find the safest way to cut your cabbage without getting your fingers in there. So you cut your core out, and then we're just gonna do some nice fine slices, similar to the kale. If it gets to the point where it's too swirly, then lay it down and cut it. Make some fine slices as well. Okay. All right. We have that. I'm going to grab these last leaves in the center. Get that cut up. This into my bowl. Again, your sizes, you can chop it if you need to cut it in half. Some of them get a little big, so we can cut them in half. Okay. And the last bit. Okay. Nice thin sliced. You can remix this if you'd like. We're going to also add, now we have red bell pepper, and we have carrots, and we have garlic, ginger. So all of that is in one bag. So we're going to just use our, we have an orange pepper. It doesn't matter what color of pepper you're going to use, but you're going to do a julienne or a small slices. Oh, didn't get washed. So thanks, Kelly. We're going to wash on veggies, and I might as well grab my carrot as well. Okay. So because you've got basically, it's like a quarter of a pepper. So if you want to go long, or if you want to go this, or you want to chop, it's up to you. I'm going to go across and make those nice julienne style lines. Get it. Sometimes you have to flip it over and we'll go that way. Shucks, I was fun fact out. I'll come up with some. So what color is our purple? What pigment is responsible for purple in cabbage? So that's looking really nice. It's getting a nice thickness. You might be able to see that. So what's our pigment in purple cabbage? It's as well as in other purple or blue foods. Does anybody know? Carrots. Okay. So I have a tool. This is a trick tool. Your carrot says julienne. So I do have a question for you. What does julienne mean? What does that really indicate for a vegetable? Does anybody know? What is? Yes, anthocyanin is the purple pigment. So if we cook it in an acid, it changes color versus if we cook it in an alkaline. So we get two different versions. Okay. What is the term julienne? What does that mean? Here's a carrot. We're going to make it julienne. So a couple ways to do it. My fancy tool, or I will do it both ways so that I can prove to you that you can do it at home. But what is julienne? What does it stand for? Good guesses. So it's more like matchsticks. If you think about a matchstick, Matchsticks are about 2 inches long by about 1/8 of an inch and 1/8 of an inch. So they're really on a small line. So this peeler, if you look for it, it has teeth that are kind of lined up a little bit about that same width. So if I run it across my carrot, this is the faster way to julienne instead of having to do it by cutting it. So each slice or each swipe, they get stuck. It will julienne my carrots. Probably safer to do a whole version of that with the peeler, but you can definitely continue to swipe down and it will take your carrots and turn them into julienne, which is kind of nice. So if you ever have an idea and want to go out, I think I found these at Walmart cheap. And I got a set of like 3 or 4, so variety of them. So I can do the initial part with the peeler, and that will give you that julienne version. And then I'll do the rest with the knife so I can show you how to cut it. So again, nice easy swipes, and it turns it into your julienne. So nice, that's just a fast way. If you do it with 100% using a knife, what you're gonna do is you would really start out with like a complete square, get rid of your edges, and then you would go very, very thin, as thin as you possibly can. So it's even thinner than like your traditional carrot sticks. And then technically you would actually even go one more slice down to make it really thin. So really it's just a matchstick, and you can see that the peeler does it pretty close. Okay, so start out with square your carrot off just for your own safety to keep it so it's not rolling on you. Otherwise it gets a little trickier. Okay. So we can julienne the last pieces. And if you ever get cut, especially in a food service place, what color Band-Aid that's a fun term. What color Band-Aid are you going to use if you get cut? In this lab, what color Band-Aid would you have? Or if you worked in a food service establishment, does anybody know what color Band-Aid they use? Yes, blue. Blue, why? I want blue. Any ideas? Yes, you think about I always use the example like tuna, pasta, anything that is brown. If you add a brown Band-Aid, it won't show up, but if you have a blue Band-Aid on, it will show up. So in food establishments, you'll see blue Band-Aids. Okay, so you've got your carrots, your pepper, your cabbages. I'm going to grab the mango. So your mango is a frozen, unthawed. So I kind of cut it up a little bit more than what it is, just to give it pieces. You can cut it into 4s, or you can cut it in half. It's up to you, as small as you want. We don't have fresh mangoes right now. What's our mango season? Does anybody know? I should have looked up how many mango varieties we have. We have a lot of mangoes here in Hawaii. When's our season? What's our mango season? Anybody have a guess? It's not right now. I can tell you that. So we don't find them necessarily in stores. Okay, and then our yeah. So anytime you hit summer months, that's when you're going to see our mangoes. Here's our mints. Okay. The other thing you have now is mint, and it right here. Do they need to wash this? Okay. Or was this washed? This looks like it could have been washed. Okay. So you've got mint leaves, and if you want to smell your mint leaves before you start cutting them up, really a nice scent. So different types of mint. You can actually buy chocolate mint. You can buy spearmint. You can buy mint. It's like a weed in a plant though. It will grow and it will take over everything. So if you want it, put it in a pot. All right. Cilantro in here as well. What's another name for cilantro? I didn't, that's all cut up. What's another name for cilantro? This is what you'll see on recipes sometimes. I think I heard Jesse say it. Anybody know what the other name for cilantro is? Yeah, that's one version. Or, yep. So mint. If you want to do what we call a chiffonade, I'll teach you that style. Take all of your mint leaves, roll them up in like a cigar fashion. So roll them up, and then we're going to cut across, and that is chiffonade of mint. Okay, so they kind of get lacier versus like just chopped. It's a little nicer. I will add that to our salad. We're going to chop up our green onion too. Another technique on green onions. You can chop right across the top and make them straight edged, or you can do a kind of that diagonal look and you'll get more of a teardrop. So if you angle your knife along the onion and start cutting it that way, you'll give yourself that teardrop of a shape. And we're short a little bit on our onions. So you're going to have a little more onions than I do to cut through, but you'll get that nice teardrop shape. Okay. So we'll put the onions in, and I believe that is ready. So we're going to kind of let that sit. Look at the colors, color of the rainbow, right? Green, purple, orange. We have that orangish red too. So nice color combinations, great added value nutritionally. Okay, let's get our dressing made, and then we're going to finish off with the rice. So one more stir of my curry. See how it's getting that nice thick sauce? It's going to reduce a little bit longer. I know I'm reducing it longer than what your recipe talks about. If you want to stop the cooking process at that point, you're okay as well. And I can also add in the my basil, which I need to wash, and my zest. So I'll use the zest for this. Okay, so we're going to wash these really quick. You could also do the chiffonade on your basil here, unless you'd like to do, you want to taste it all in one bite. But if we do that chiffonade for the basil, so again, line your leaves up, put them on as many as you can put together. Sometimes the size will help. Roll it, and then slice it. This is for the curry. This is your basil leaves. So I'm just adding all my leaves top on top. I'll roll it. If you're not able to get too many on top of one another, you could do, fewer. Sometimes it's hard to get them to stay together when there's a lot. So again, we can watch your fingers, and you get that. It's almost like a shred, but it just makes it a little quicker. You can always do that with cabbage or any other green veggie. So we'll add that into our curry, as well as our lime zest. We'll dump that in. If you had the Kaffir lime leaves, you could add them in at this point as well. So I'll add a few. I'm just going to pick 4 of them. Here's the nice thing. You can buy these and freeze them. These have been frozen for months, and they look great. And if you want to bruise them a bit, if you have them, I'm going to pull them apart. You want to bruise them, and what does that do? That releases those oils that are in the skins of them, or in the fine structures of the cells. So it gives you that flavor. So we'll mix that in, and those are big, so I left those whole. So you could technically pull those out once you're done. So we're going to let that sit. I think my temperature is pretty much off. Just really, really low. Okay, so salad is ready to go except for the dressing. So let's get our dressing ready. And we are going to peanut butter. So we're going to grab, I'd say we're going to get a spoon of some kind so we can put our peanut butter, scoop our peanut butter out. But you're going to put the lime juice. So you're gonna cut your lime. If you wanna get it to make it so it's a little softer, easier to squeeze. If some of you might have a squeezer. Thanks, Rick. Some of you might have one of those, presses where you can squeeze it. But if you don't, if you roll it on the counter, you could put it in the microwave for 10 seconds. It will just kind of loosen it up a bit. And we're going to squeeze it. If you're worried, generally limes aren't as seeded as lemons are. So we want to squeeze out as much as we can get into our, I'll put it into a side bowl. And we're shooting for about, because it's a half a recipe, so we're going to shoot for a tablespoon of lime juice, and you should easily get it through your full lime. It might even just take half. Those were big limes, so maybe even just half. Okay, so you've got half the lime squeeze. You get your tablespoon. And there we go. So if you want to do extra lime, you can, but we're going to go with 1 tablespoon of lime. And then we have leftover extra. That could be a garnish if you'd like. Nice option. We're going to get our peanut butter. What's the difference between peanut butter and peanut spread? That's a good trivial. What's the difference between peanut butter and peanut spread? What's in your basic, what should be basic peanut butter? Maybe I can ask it that way. And you also have a container that has a lot of the extras. So this should have your honey, rice wine vinegar, soy sauce, sesame oil, sriracha, or did we leave this? We put the sriracha in. And then we have the ginger on the side. We have the clove of garlic on the side. So my question, what was the difference between peanut butter and peanut butter spread or peanut spread? Yeah, peanuts and salt, really. It usually can create its own oil. If it's anything less than 90% of peanuts with some kind of a stabilizing agent, then it's peanut spread. It can't be considered peanut butter. If you make your own peanut butter, you can do that too. So it talks about a blender. If you do a submersion blender, that would also work. I did a double batch of this last night, so it was full. It was much bigger, and used a submersion blender, and that works really well to blend it up. But you can use a spoon. I'll put a whisk in there in a second to kind of even get it more whisked up. But in the meantime, I'll chop up my ginger and my garlic. The other nice thing about your micro planer is you can use it to do your ginger. If not, you can just grate it or chop it as you would anything else that's really fine, just like your clove of garlic. So we can put it on the planer, and then we'll get that, maybe a little bit of, what do I want to say? A little bit of lime in there still. So we'll get a little bit of that ginger out. If you're worried about losing too much on your micro planer, then you can definitely cut it on the cutting board. And then the garlic is not peeled. You don't have to worry about washing it, but if you want to peel it, there's a couple ways. If it's a fresh head of garlic, you can smash it on the cutting board and take the peels off, or you can try and peel it just by using your fingers. So how do I know some of you have been with us before, how do I get that smell of garlic off? And cut the ends. How do I get the smell of garlic off of my fingers? Because I surely don't want to walk around with garlicky smelling fingers all day. How do I get rid of it? That's a cook's secret. Yeah, you can rub with a spoon. You can massage your faucet. Anything stainless will help you. So they even sell these wonderful looking bars that look like stainless steel bars. Looks like a soap bar. And basically you would rub your hand on that and massage it. So anything stainless will take off that. Does a chemical reaction and you lose that smell of garlic. So we're gonna add this in. Okay. And massage my sausage so I don't smell like a garlic. I keep the vampires away for the night, right? All right. It can, yes. So I do it with anything that's gonna make that sulfury smell. So we're gonna whisk our sauce so that if you were to, we're trying to go for a smooth consistency. So a fork would do if you don't have a whisk at home. You're gonna have some chunks in there because it's got the grated garlic or the grated ginger. So you're gonna have a few chunks, but not bad. Okay. Good consistency, nice and smooth. That's what you're looking for. Then you should have some peanuts somewhere in there. And that'll be your topper. So if you have extra cilantro, if you have extra mint, you can top it with that as well. So you basically have your dressing. You just created your peanut dressing. So what we'll do is we'll kind of toss up my salad a little bit and just mix it so all those colors are together. And you can do one of two things. You can put the whole thing of dressing on at one time or do it as you serve it. So whatever your preference. Just remember, because these are greens, and if you add the dressing and you don't finish your whole salad, you'll have a soggy green at the end of the night or by tomorrow. So it's up to you if you want to keep your dressing separate. How's that for color? Okay. Beautiful. Then you've got your peanuts. You have a couple of options on peanuts. You can actually roast these. You could put them in the toaster oven. You could put them in a pan. You could roast them a little bit further. They are roasted. They're not raw, but you can give them that toasted flavor, which will even bring out that that nice flavor of peanuts even more. Okay, salad's done. Let's get on to our rice. All right. Pineapple fried rice. This over and our curry. How's that? So you've got that nice thick sauce and it is complete. And you've got your basil and your Kaffir lime leaves. Again, you don't have to eat these, but that's done. All right. I have a new fun toy in the kitchen. So we're gonna use the wok. So you want to get your oil. So I'm gonna get, here's the thing, I'm gonna get all my rice stuff ready. I'll use the chemical too. We're gonna get it all ready first before we start actually cooking. Otherwise it goes too quick. So we're gonna do all of our cutting stuff first. And then we'll go after. So let me show you the pineapple. So you ended up with a pineapple that looks like this. Here's what it looked like prior. So somebody was really nice and cut all the eyes and everything off. So as you're cutting a whole pineapple, suggestion is to cut, if it's it's this giant big pineapple, is to cut the top. You can do a couple ways. You could actually twist the pineapple, the crown. The crown you can plant, pull it out and plant it. 18 months later, you've got your own pineapples. Then you can cut the edge or the top off. You would cut the bottom. And then it becomes nice and stable. So you have that nice round pineapple. Then what you're gonna do is go as close as you can to the edges and cut the eyes off. Again, we're trying to keep as much as we can on there. If you end up with some of those brown sections, they're not harmful. You can eat them, but they might be a little bit more fibery on a pineapple. So you can cut those edges off. Okay. There's multiple ways to cut a pineapple, but that one is probably one of the safest ways, just so that you don't end up having too many awkward cutting times. And then cut your core. Okay. And for ours, we're going to be cutting, I think you have a little bit smaller version, but you'll cut it half and then you can cut it whatever sizes you'd like. So what we'll do is get our might as well just use this. Here's the core is off. So we're gonna cut it in, I'd say I'd cut it in half again. Yes, please cut your cores out. And you can also cut the rest of the eyes. I was told by one of my former employees that the way to tell when a pineapple is really sweet is the size of the eyes. So if you get a big eye, like the eyes are nice and big, they're sweeter. The smaller the eyes, the less sweet. Another true fact that it technically does not ripen after it's been picked. It will only ripen on the plant. So it will get juicier and softer after it's cut, but it won't sweeten up necessarily. So I'm going to cut the pineapple in half, line it up. And again, it's based on what you want to bite into. So if you want to bite some big pineapple chunks, then you can leave it bigger. So we'll have this pineapple ready to go. Okay. There's that. And then we're going to cut our tomato. So you're going to need the whole tomato. It does talk about getting rid of the seeds. It's up to you if you want the seeds out or not. That'll just eliminate some of the juiciness, so you can take out the seeds. Take that and kind of scoop them out. I don't want to lose all that good tomato inside, so you can scoop out what you can. All right, so we're going to cut that up. Again, pieces that you're comfortable with eating. So I'll cut it one more time here. And we'll do some chunks. It's all right if it squishes down. We're going to be putting it all together. And I think what I'll do is I'm going to grab one more cutting board so that I can do my onions on the side, because those will go in before the tomatoes and the pineapple. Sorry, we used up all your kitchen cutting boards and everything. Remember, the only thing I suggest is that you just wash your cutting boards in between each of your dishes so that you get that less cross-contamination risk. We're not using anything that's high probability of contamination tonight, but again, that will be helpful. So tomatoes and pineapple are ready to go. We're going to also do the onions because those are going to go in last. And we are getting tighter on time, so thank you all for hanging with us. So we're going to rinse our onions. And pull off any brown areas. Okay. And if you want to grow some more green onions, this one won't necessarily work, but this one might. You can put that in the ground and you'll cut it about here and you'll have more green onions. So up to you. And then we're going to cut this up. It's probably going to be easier to cut them in half and then go after them halfwise again. And I'll try and do that teardrop shape. I was saying I was going to do, this is all my last part. So this is all like the secondary additions to the recipes. That's why I cut them on a separate cutting board, just to make space. Then I will cut the regular onion. Let's do that real quick. We'll cut this. So we got your other onion, which you have a quarter of a sweet onion. Peel it. Okay, we'll cut the top. And a shortcut way to cut onions, go in line with your veins of the onion or the lines of the onion. Don't cut all the way through, keep your end on. And this will give you a finer dice. Okay, so then you have the whole quarter. So it's kind of funny, a whole quarter, and you can cut through it. It's kind of sliding down. That's all right. Might have to break off a piece or get it, catch that up. When you get to the end, you flip it, make it flat, and there's your diced onions. Okay. All right. One last thing before we go. We're gonna get the rice. I'm gonna start my pot. Remember, your rice should be cooked. We're gonna get it hot. I'm going to crack my egg into the cup so that I can stir it up. A couple of reasons to do that is so in case you have a shell, and I can whisk that up a little bit. We're gonna get our oil. Because we have a gas stove, this will heat up nicely and fast. So we're gonna start with the egg. If you had shrimp, this is where you would fry your shrimp and then get it nice and brown, the whole pieces, and then you would put your pieces, the little pieces in, and then set them aside and cook the egg and start the rice. So we're gonna put, get this hot. How do I know when oil is hot? How would I know it's hot? You actually might be able to see that. See that that shimmer or that kind of that edge look? You can also put in try an onion. That's hot. So we're gonna add our egg. And I'm going to kind of stir that around. I'm gonna get my rice. This is a cup and a half, right? Okay, so we're gonna add our rice. Thanks, Rick. I think we're gonna just bump the whole. So we're gonna add our rice in here. Yes, you're gonna do a cup and a half of your rice because you actually will be creating 2 cups. So a cup and a half. We're gonna try and mix this kind of together. Then after we get this mixed, we're gonna add our onion, our white onions. That's perfect. We're gonna add our white onions. And if you don't have a wok, that's totally fine. You can use regular fry pan. So add your white onions. The rest of those off the cutting board. And then we are going to get those stirred up. Smash down my rice. Typically with fried rice, typically day-old rice is even better. So if you are gonna cook your rice tonight, you don't get to this dish right away, your day-old rice will work perfectly. So, because it dries out a little bit and won't be as juicy. So that'll help. So we've got that cooking, and then we're going to add our seasonings that go with that, which are, there's the 2 containers. So you have RS rice seasoning, and then you have the soy sauce. So we're gonna add I shake this up a little bit because that's got all the goodies in there. Put that in and shake it over. And then we'll add the liquids. Okay. Oops. Mix that up. And your onions are cooking at the same time, right? They're softening up a bit as you're cooking that rice and getting it stirred up. So we've got a nice combination. You should start to see kind of that separation of your rice granules as well within that mix. Okay. And then we can add the cashews. So I didn't get a chance to do the cashews, but a couple things you can do. You can chop these up a little bit finer. You can toast them in a pan, toast them in a toaster oven. It'll just give it that nuttier flavor. So I'll add them whole right now. So just add them up. Turn my heat down just a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to add the, now after we got the cashews, we're gonna add the pineapple. So my chunks of pineapple we're gonna put in. And we're gonna get those to brown a little bit. And sometimes people have never had pineapple in rice. So this is a treat. Okay, so we're gonna add, oops, your rice. It's separating nicely. Some of those pineapples will start to, you're basically caramelizing the sugars of the pineapple. That's what the browning is, okay? And then after that has browned, I'm gonna push it further a little bit quicker so we can get through it. Then you're gonna add your tomatoes and your green onions. And you can toss it together. You can turn it off, turn the heat off. And you now have pineapple fried rice. So we've made in an hour pineapple fried rice, curry, and a salad. So we have a fabulous magic kitchen appearance over here. So we have the salad. Here is our pineapple fried rice. Here is our tofu curry. So it is also a special day. Somebody, I think, has a birthday. So we are going to celebrate that. And there is a match box over there. And we will sing, I believe, who's our birthday girl? Michelle. Oh, happy birthday. Many, many more. So we'll get this light for me. Okay, so we're all gonna have to sing, and then Michelle, you're gonna have to give us that blowout virtual. Ah, I want my match to stop. All right. Okay.
Hi. My rice is burning.
3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to you. Woo! Happy birthday to you. Woo! Happy birthday, dear Michelle. Happy birthday to you. And many more. All right, everybody, have a wonderful weekend. We'll see you back in February. We've got some really good things coming in February. So look for the emails. We'll be launching those out before that event. So welcome back. Happy New Year, and see you next month. Thanks.